Archaeotravel follows some of the most important stages of St Cuthbert's remarkable journey across northern England, tracing the route taken by the saint's community as they carried his relics through the landscapes of Northumbria during the Viking Age. From the sacred island of Lindisfarne to the great monastic centre of Durham, the journey reveals early medieval churches, ancient pilgrimage traditions, riverside settlements, and places shaped by the memory of one of Britain's most beloved saints. Through archaeology, history, theology and landscape interpretation, archaeotravel invites travellers to rediscover the spiritual and cultural world connected with St Cuthbert's Way. St Cuthbert, circa 634 to 687, was one of the most important saints of early medieval Northumbria. A monk, bishop, hermit and miracle worker, he became closely associated with Lindisfarne and was widely venerated throughout northern England after his death. His incorrupt body and relics were believed to possess protective and miraculous powers, leading to the growth of a major cult centered around his shrine. Following Viking raids on Lindisfarne in 883, the monks carrying St Cuthbert's relics in a wooden coffin incised with a representation of the Majestas Domini and the seven archangels, began a long journey across Northumbria in search of safety and a permanent home for the saint. The wandering community traveled through monasteries, villages and sacred landscapes for over a century, before eventually establishing the shrine at Durham. After the Viking attack on Lindisfarne in 883, the monks of St Cuthbert carried the saint's relics away from the vulnerable island monastery, and began a long journey through the north of England. Travelling west and north from Craig, they moved along the southern banks of the River Tees, passing through places that still preserve echoes of Cuthbert's memory in their names and traditions, including Stokesley, South Cowton, Barton, and Marskey. Many of these settlements later developed important churches associated with the cult of the saint. The tradition of St Cuthbert also became closely associated with Norham on the River Tweed, an important crossing point between Northumbria and the Scottish borders. According to medieval tradition, the saint himself is believed to have visited the area during his missionary journeys, and the later community carrying his relics helped strengthen the sacred significance of the region. In the medieval period, Norham developed into an important ecclesiastical and defensive centre, connected with the bishops of Durham, while nearby Norham Castle later guarded this strategic frontier landscape, shaped by the enduring memory of St Cuthbert. Eventually, the community crossed into the region of Durham and settled for over a century at Chester-le Street, where they established a wooden cathedral on the site of today's Church of St Cuthbert. The shrine became one of the most significant religious centres in northern England, attracting pilgrims, royal patronage and wealth. Close to Chester-le Street stands Lumley Castle, a later medieval fortress associated with the powerful Lumley family. Built in the late 14th century by Sir Ralph Lumley, the castle reflects the turbulent history of northern England near the Scottish border. Sir Ralph was executed in 1400 after taking part in a rebellion against King Henry IV, and the castle later passed through different noble families before eventually becoming a grand country residence. Local legend also connects the castle with the ghost of Lady Lily Lumley, said to haunt the building after refusing to renounce her faith. Today, Lumley Castle preserves the atmosphere of the medieval North, standing within a landscape deeply shaped by the legacy of St Cuthbert and the bishops of Durham. In 995, another Viking threat forced the monks to flee once more, this time carrying Cuthbert's remains toward Ripon under the leadership of Bishop Alton. During this turbulent period, the community is also associated with Bamborough, the ancient royal fortress of the kings of Northumbria. According to medieval tradition, Bamborough offered temporary refuge and protection for the monks and the saints' relics during times of danger. Closely connected with the royal and spiritual history of Northumbria, the dramatic fortress overlooking the North Sea symbolized both political authority and the sacred memory of St Cuthbert in the northern frontier lands. During their return journey north, the monks reached a place near modern Warden Law, between Seaham and Houghton-le-Spring, where the wagon carrying the saint's shrine reportedly became stuck in the mud and could not be moved. According to tradition, the monks fasted and prayed for 3 days until St Cuthbert appeared in a vision, instructing them to travel to Dunholm. The meaning of Dunholm was initially unclear. Legend tells that 2 milkmaids discussing a lost brown cow mentioned that the animal had wandered to a place called Dunholm. Following this clue, the monks arrived at a rocky peninsula almost encircled by the River Wear. Recognizing the defensive strength and sacred potential of the site, they established a new shrine there. This settlement would become Durham. A church known as the White Church was first built to house the relics of St Cuthbert, transforming Durham into the spiritual capital of the north. Even after the Norman conquest in 1066 and the devastation of the harrying of the north, the cult of Cuthbert remained powerful. His relics were temporarily moved again for protection, including periods associated with Bamborough and Lindisfarne, but eventually returned to Durham, where the Normans constructed the great Romanesque Durham Cathedral that still dominates the landscape today. However, St Cuthbert's life is most closely connected with Lindisfarne, also known as Holy Island, one of the greatest spiritual centres of early medieval Northumbria. Founded in the 7th century through the Irish mission of St Aidan, Lindisfarne became an important monastic and intellectual centre where Christianity, royal power, and insular culture intersected. Cuthbert entered the monastic community at Lindisfarne as a monk, and later became prior and bishop of the island monastery. Known for his ascetic lifestyle, preaching, miracles, and deep connection with nature, he eventually withdrew to the solitude of Innerfarne as a hermit, while remaining spiritually linked to Lindisfarne and its community. After his death in 687, Cuthbert was buried at Lindisfarne, where his shrine rapidly became a major place of pilgrimage. When his tomb was opened several years later, his body was reportedly found incorrupt, reinforcing his reputation as a holy protector of Northumbria. The monks later preserved his relics in a richly decorated wooden coffin, in which they carried them during their long journeys following Viking attacks. Lindisfarne also became symbolic of both the splendor and vulnerability of early medieval Christianity. The Viking raid of 793 devastated the monastery and profoundly shocked the Christian world. Nevertheless, the spiritual legacy of Lindisfarne survived through the enduring cult of St Cuthbert, whose memory ultimately shaped the sacred landscape of northern England, from Holy Island to Durham.